Hey guys, my name is Andrew Suzuki. I am a web designer and developer, and today we're going to continue our series of learning PHP. If you haven't already seen the first part, you can view my channel and find it, or there should be a link in the description. So last class we learned about the very basics of PHP. So we have variables, the if/else statement, and the while loop. Today we're going to go on to learn about arrays, the include function, other types of functions, and your own custom functions, as well as get. So we'll learn about all those right now. So we'll start with arrays. Just like last class, open your text editor and your browser to test it out. Sorry. So, as you probably know, a variable can store a value. So say you had a variable called computer, and you stored in that the word Dell. As we all know, you can then echo the variable computer, and it will print the word Dell. Now, what if we had many different types of computers instead of just Dells? So, and we want to store multiple values besides just the word Dell into the variable computer. That's what we would use an array for. So in order to set up an array, I'll just delete that. You start up just like the regular variable. So computer, I'll call it computers equal array, two parentheses, start and finish, parentheses, and then we have our values in here, as many as you'd like. The values are separated by commas, and each value is wrapped in two quotation marks. So say we had a bunch of types of computers. So Dell, Apple, Toshiba, HP, Asus. That's all I'll do for now. And then you make sure you, just like most things in PHP, you have to end the line with a semicolon. After you do that, you can save it, and of course nothing will show up because you didn't echo anything, but you now have a variable, computers, with the array with all these values in it. Now, believe it or not, you can echo each individual value by using a number. So if you wanted to echo the word Apple, if you wanted to echo the word Dell, you would type computers, echo computers, and then a bracket, a straight bracket, and then the word and the letters, the number 0, and then after the bracket put a semicolon. And what this will do is echo the word Dell, as you can see here. Now, I bet you're wondering why it's 0 and not 1, because as you can see here, Dell happens to be the very first value of array. Well, in most programming languages, you kind of have to think and subtract 1 from the number, because that's just the way it is. Always the first value is put with the ID 0. So if I wanted to echo the word Apple, which is the second value in this array, I'd have to put 1. If I wanted to put Toshiba, which is the third, I'd have to put 2. So as you can see here, it echoed Toshiba because it was the third value here. And now I'm going to integrate this with my last lesson, and I'm going to echo all of these values in the array. In order to do this, we're going to use a different type of loop. Last class we learned how to use the while loop, and that's a very powerful loop, although it's also the most basic. Specifically for echoing arrays, we use something called the for each loop. For each. And it looks kind of like this. So what we have here is just the same kind of loop. So computers, so we have the name of our array. So for every single computers, for every single value in that array, Dell, Apple, Toshiba, HP, Asus, we set it as a new variable called just regular computer. So every time it loops around, it switches to the next value and echoes it. So all we have to do is type echo computer and then echo line break. Just some HTML in there to make it a little cleaner. And believe it or not, this will echo every single computer maker on a new line. Let's look at that again. So we have the array with 5 values. It comes into the while loop. Then it analyzes the array. And so first it takes the very first value, Dell, sets it equal to the value computer, then it echoes it. Then it repeats, takes the next value, Apple, sets it equal to the variable computer, and then echoes it. And it repeats, sets Toshiba equal to the value of computer, then echoes it. And until it reaches the very end, it keeps on doing that. So next, I'm going to delete this. We're going to go on to learn about the include function. The include function is incredibly powerful for building very basic websites. That would sound kind of paradoxical, but it's actually a great function. Okay? So, let's go into our folder here, our directory. And so here's our index file, which I'm editing right now. So say we have a file called head, a file called index, and a file called foot. Now these are the files for the header of the page, files for the footer, and files for the index. Okay, so in the head, just like on all web pages, we have the start of the web page. So we have HTML, right? A head, title, probably a link to a style sheet, with using link, and more stuff. And then we have start the body, and blah. So let's have that. That's just the very start of any web page, basically. And then in index, we have some information. So, hello. That's all I'm going to write. That's the content of the page. And then in foot.php, we have the end. So, just like in all HTML, we have to end the body that we started in the head, and then we had to end the HTML document. So since by default Apache points to index.php as the default for a directory, we have to add in the head and the foot. So in order to do that, we use the include function. So we have our PHP tags here. We type include parentheses and parentheses, and inside there have 2 quotes, and inside that we have the file name, which in this case is head.php. And make sure to put a semicolon at the end. And then we copy that and paste it at the end and just change the name to foot. And that includes the foot. So you see here on the index page, all we have is the word hello and 2 includes. As you can see here, we have the word hello, it shows up. But if we look at the source, we can see the entire all of our formatting here. Here's the head, and here's the foot. They both showed up. So this is incredibly useful, as a matter of fact. So say our title was website, and then we have another page called, well, about. And then we put in the same thing, except the content of the page is different. Right? So we have our contact page, and we have our index page. I'm just making a basic HTML page to show you how this works here. Okay, so say we have, so I just did some basic styles here to show you how this is going to work exactly. So here we have our index page. It's black, it has white text, and a blue link to the about page. However, as you can see here in the index, all we have is the heading and the link. We don't have any formatting for the background color because that's covered in head.php. Now, what if we go to the about page and it has the same kind of styling, except the only different is the content, which is just a different heading right here. So this is actually really useful because say you have 10 pages on your website, and if you want to change the background color of every page, all you have to do is change it once right here, gray. And then as you can see, the contact page is gray and the index page is gray, like that. And we only changed it once on the head.php page. So as you can see, the include function is very so now I'm going to go over some basic functions and how to create your own function. So what a function does is it basically allows you to submit a value, and then it completes a process on it and then returns that value. And it's a great way for organizing your processes in PHP. So the way to do this is you type the word function, then you type the name of your function, which can be anything. I'll call mine add10, a very basic function. You can call yours anything you want. Then here I'm going to put a value, which I'm going to be using, so I'm going to call it number, and then to open curly brackets, and inside there goes your function. So as you can see here, the result is 30 because I put in the value 20, it added 10, and returned 30 because 20 plus 10 is 30. So what this is doing here I'm using the function, and inside of the function I entered in the value 20. And then it utilizes this function up here. Okay, so it's saying that whatever is inside the parentheses, we're going to call the variable called number. So it's assigning the value 20 to number. And then we're going to say the number equals the number plus 10. So we're basically just adding 10 to 20. And then we return the number, so basically just that's the result of the function. That's the very final result. And then we're going to echo it. So next we're going to very briefly go over get. So what get does is it takes a variable from the URL, and then it basically just, you can do anything with it. So here I have a very basic get. Okay, so what I have here is I'm setting the variable identification equal to the get of ID. Make sure it's $ underscore the word get, straight bracket, quotation mark, name of the get variable, quotation mark, straight bracket, semicolon. Okay, so as you can see here, this echoes nothing for now, but if we type into the URL of this page, if we type in index.php, the name of this file, question mark ID equals 5, and we hit enter, we'll see that 5 shows up right in the body. We type in hello into there, hello shows up. So this is kind of useful, kind of a neat trick. I'll go into it later, but for now this tutorial is done. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something useful. I'll be continuing this series because I can see that many of you are very interested in learning PHP. And so thanks for watching. Check out my site at andrewsuzuki.com. I'll be making a separate website for tutorials later. So stay in tune. So see ya.